education, traditional, online, and hybrid learning. My name is NURUL and I will be your moderator for today's forum. But before we start, let me explain to you guys what does hybrid learning means. It combines both traditional face-to-face classes and online learning, offering flexibility while maintaining the benefits of in-person interactions. Okay, so we are so thrilled to have 4 panelists with us today who will share their insights on this important topic. Our first panelist, Ms. MAISARAH, a lecturer at KPTM BHARU. Our second panelist, Madam NURAINI, a parent. Our third panelist, MOHAMMAD, a student at SMK Bujang Senang. And our last panelist, panelist number 4, Ms. MUHAKIMAH, a teacher at SMK Bujang Senang. Throughout the discussion, I will guide the conversation by asking questions. Please feel free to share your thoughts and let's aim for a constructive and engaging exchange. Let's get started with our first question, shall we? Okay, question number 1. Which learning method do you believe offers a better quality of education? Traditional or online learning? Panelist number 1, would you like to start us off?
Thank you for your question, our moderator. So, as a lecturer, I see value in both. Traditional learning provides face-to-face interaction, which makes it easier for educators to build rapport with students, encourage discussions, and provide immediate feedback when the student asks questions. However, online learning gives flexibility and more access for students to resources, which make it more beneficial for students who prefer self-paced learning. So in the end, I'd say that the best option depends on what works best for each student. That's all.
Thank you, panelist number 1. I totally agree with you that traditional learning offers various benefits, while online learning also offers various benefits. Okay, let's move on to our panelist number 2. Do you agree with panel number 1, or do you have perhaps a different perspective?
As for me, I think that both learning do have its own benefits. So I can say it depends on the students how they use the online learning and the traditional learning. That's all.
Thank you. And what about you, panelist number 3 and panelist number 4? Feel free to share specific examples from your experience. Panel number 3, would you like to start us off?
Yes. So for me as a student, I prefer traditional learning because it provides face-to-face interaction and give structured environment which can be more beneficial for students. That's all.
Alright, thank you. Panelist number 4.
So as for me as a teacher, I think that it is best for students to learn with traditional methods, as the teachers can see their students and it's easier for them to interact with the students.
Okay, so we should move to question number 2, shall we? Okay, how has online learning affected student engagement and participation compared to traditional classrooms? Panel number 3, what's your view on this?
For me, online learning has made education more accessible, but engagement can be challenged. In traditional classroom, teachers can read students' body language if they feel sleepy or don't understand. So that's all for me.
Alright, so I totally agree with you that the teachers can read the student body language through traditional learning, but the teachers cannot read the student body language through the online learning. Thank you for your answer, panel number 3. And panel number 4, have you noticed any significant differences in engagement between the two methods?
So for me, I believe that when the students are doing the online classes, the teachers cannot see the students, so the teachers can know what exactly happening with the students, and they can provide enough help. So the students might think that they are being abandoned. So it will make them lazy, and also it will make their engagement in classes decrease. That's all.
Alright, thank you for your answer. Before we move to question number 3, does anyone else have a perspective on how certain subjects or teaching styles may affect engagement? Do you have any panel number 2?
Okay, so let me continue. As a parent, I could see the difference between online learning and traditional learning for students, because okay, so let me continue. So as a parent, I do see the difference between online learning and traditional learning effect on students. So I would say that traditional learning and online learning do have its own benefits and the good and the bad side also. So for online learning, I guess the bad side is it reduces the students' engagement, because when I observe my children when they have online classes, I can just notice that they always easily get distracted, because sometimes the environments are too noisy, and maybe the lesson is too boring for them, so they could not keep focus on the class. But actually, online learning also it's increase the opportunities for participation, because actually online learning can increase our soft skills, such as how can we use the tools or we can say the software, maybe like Microsoft Words and Teams. And also the learning will be more interactive, because online learning we could use a lot of apps such as quizzes and Ms. Hara, can I ask you, which app do you use when you are teaching your students?
Most of the time when I done teaching my student, I mostly use quizzes, just like you said, to make sure my student understand what I'm teaching.
Okay, so other than that, for traditional learning, I would say that the good side is it's offer direct interaction between the teachers and the students. So it will make the students more engaged in discussion, and they could also get a real life, what we could say, a real time feedback. So let's say, when the teacher are teaching, oh, I don't understand this. So the students could directly ask questions, okay? But I think the bad side of traditional learning is that it's quite disadvantageous for quiet students, or we could say troubled students, because it's limit their participation, and sometimes they tend to hesitate to speak up. So that's all from me.
Alright, thank you, panelist number 2. I totally agree with you that traditional and online have both pros and cons in the teachers, lecturer, parents, and student view. So let us move to question number 3. Do you think online education can fully replace traditional education in the future? Panel number 2, let's hear your view on this first.
So in my opinion, I think it is not essential to fully replace the traditional learning, because one of the reasons is it is not essential to fully replace the traditional learning, because the limited internet access. I mean, not everyone has reliable internet access devices for online classes. So, other than that, I think for the students that major in medical and engineering, they need practical and hands-on learning. So it will be more easier for them to do a practical. So that's
Alright, thank you. I do agree that with you, but let me ask another question for you. Do you think hybrid learning can replace the traditional and online learning?
I think it's a very good option because when they mix up the two ways of learning, I mean traditional and online learning, so it will give them a new experience. I mean, maybe I will give that example. Right now, KPTM and the BHARU, they use hybrid learning because every Sunday they will do an online classes. So I think it's really give a good benefits because maybe some of the students are too tired to go to the college because for the 5 days a week they need to go to the college. So maybe 1 day online classes will be really good for that.
Alright, thank you. And there's number one. Do you think traditional education will remain essential? Or maybe online education take over entirely?
I don't think online education will fully replace traditional learning. Certain subjects like science, labs, or arts, maybe hands-on practice, require physical presence, and it's easier to do it when you are in a traditional learning environment. But I think online learning will continue to grow, especially for theory-based subjects. But as for my experience, when I'm teaching Dasar and my students need to teach micro-teaching in the future, so I think it's easier for them if we use traditional learning methods to study. So when I'm teaching, I prefer to teach my students traditional methods so that they can understand better what they need to do when they teach kids in the future. And I also think that the hybrid approach, which is combining the two of the methods, might be the new future of education.
Alright, thank you. And then it's number three. Do you prefer hybrid learning? Or maybe do you see hybrid learning will replace both traditional and online learning in the future?
So for me as student, I do see hybrid learning cannot fully replace traditional learning because certain skills like teamwork, hands-on training, and social interaction are better developed in physical classroom.
Alright, thank you. And then it's number four. What do you foresee for the future of education?
So as for me as a teacher, I don't think that online learning can fully replace for traditional, but maybe hybrid learning can be an option because it requires both traditional and also online learning, and it will benefit both the students and also the teachers as well. And maybe it can help teachers and students under their own circumstance. Let's say if there's an emergency that requires the teacher to go out of the school, maybe the teachers can do an online learning. So the students didn't fall behind in the study.
Alright, thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the last question. So, shall we? Okay. What are the biggest challenges students and teachers face with online learning? How can they be addressed? And then number four, could you start us off by sharing your experiences or observation?
So thank you for the question. As we all know, before this, we are having fully online classes due to the COVID-19 situation. And as I can see, the students are not really taking part in the classes, as maybe some of them continue to sleep, or maybe they just didn't care much about that. So as for me, I think that would be a really big challenge for students, because it can be hard for them to maintain their focus and also their motivation to study. Unlike in traditional learning method, there is a structured environment and also social interaction between the students itself and also between teachers and students. So that way the students can be motivated and also it can increase their focus during class. As for the teachers, we actually face many problems during the online classes, such as internet connection, poor internet connection, and also the difficulties to teach students, as we already used to teach them in classes, use whiteboards and such as to write, and we already used to help them physically. So when it comes to online learning, it will be hard for us to guide them one by one, and also it will be hard to explain to them what is wrong with this and what is wrong with that. So I can say that it will be the most challenge for the teachers. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, panel 4. So as a sister of myself, I have a younger brother that experienced this hybrid learning. So I don't totally understand with your view on this, because I totally see my brother dozing off during online class and did not even try to participate in the classes. So thank you once again for your view. Okay, panel number 3. Do you have any suggestions for addressing these challenges in the student view?
So for me, as student, our students have the digital device to access the online learning. But to address it, government can give it to students to access the online learning.
Alright, thank you. Alright. Panelist number 1 and panelist number 2. Would you like to add anything to the discussion?
Can I add first? So, in my perspective as a lecturer, one major challenge is keeping the student focused during class. Not all students have good learning environment at home, and some of them also have technical issues that can disturb the lesson when I teach. So, the educators, such as me as a lecturer, also face challenges in assessing student understanding. Without in-person interaction, I can ask them, do you understand what I'm teaching? I can really ask them directly when I teach online class. So to address this, we need structured lesson, interactive activities, and also regular feedback to keep the student engaged during online classes.
Alright, thank you. And panelist number 2.
When my children have online classes, one way that I use to make them engage in the lesson is I create a dedicated learning space for them, because it will make them more focused. Maybe I could attach a noise cancelling wall, because the noise will not distract them. Other than that, I also ask my children to set their study schedules clearly, so that they will be on time when they have class, and they did not miss their class. So that's it.
Alright, thank you. Okay, so we are nearing the end of our forum. But before we conclude, I would like to give each panelist the opportunity to share any of your final thoughts about which method is better for today's education, online or traditional, or maybe even hybrid. Okay, so panelist number 3, as a student, would you like to start off?
Thank you. For me as a student, I prefer more to traditional learning because I can spend time with my friends. So that will make me more confident. That's all.
Alright, thank you. Panelist number 1.
In my own perspective as a lecturer, I do agree that both traditional and online learning have their own strengths and weaknesses. Instead of choosing one over the other, we should focus on blending the two of the methods to create the best learning experience for students.
Okay, thank you, panelist number 1, for your view on this. Okay, so panelist number 2.
So for me, I agree with Miss Sarah that we should mix up both of the learning, which is hybrid learning. So I think each institution should try a blended learning approach, which is known as hybrid learning. And because hybrid learning will enhance engagement and learning experience, so it could prevent boredom for the students, and they will focus and they will feel more energetic for the class.
Alright, thank you. And panelist number 4.
So for me, same as Miss Sarah and also Madam Siti said earlier, I think that hybrid learning could be more beneficial for both students and the teacher because it combines both the traditional and also online learning. So when under the certain circumstances, maybe the teachers could do an online learning to make sure that the students did not fall behind in the lessons, and also the students maybe have some issues that require them to go outside the school and cannot be physically in the class. So that way they won't missing any classes, and also they can focus more on the lecture maybe. And while the under the situation that the teachers can do the physical class, maybe the teachers and the students could sit in one place and make use the physical class and can interact more with the students and the teachers, and they can ask the questions that they cannot ask during the online class.
Thank you to all 4 of our panelists, Miss Aisyah, Madam Siti, Faid, and Miss MARDHIAH, for sharing your valuable insight today. We have covered a lot of ground from the strengths of traditional and online education to their challenges and the future of learning. It is clear that education is evolving, and finding the right balance between these methods is the key. Thank you to everyone for joining us. I look forward to more enriching discussions in the future.